So let me start by asking you my first question. All right. Well, first of all, thanks for doing this. And my first question to you is going to be,
pleasure.
How are you currently using AI across your research work? I think that is going to be very critical as we begin this conversation.
Yeah. So let's start with literature search. You may have heard about LLM systems. I'll call them LLM systems for a specific reason that I will mention later. So people use LLM systems to search literature simply because they are connected with search. They have search capability. It led to problems previously when there was no web search capability and no retrieval capability because LLM systems hallucinate. There were several scandals related to that, but researchers do that. This is very general. Now people use AI to find web pages and then retrieve that data and summarize it. So the great part about that is it's an intellectual search. So you search scholarship on a specific topic that answers a specific question and may be conducted using specific methodologies, etc. So it's a truly intellectual search. So LLM systems can systematize data, they can retrieve data, just as I mentioned previously. You can upload PDF files, for example, you can retrieve data from online repositories, databases, etc. The new agentic capabilities, they are present in most systems, maybe ChatGPT or other Copilot. So that's why these systems can compose electronic tables, for example, with their retrieved data. So code writing is very important. Vibe coding, basically. Vibe coding is very important for computational research because, well, there are several tasks. First and foremost, you may need to write some software and you just vibe code it, may it be according to the new practices of vibe coding or just in some truly natural way.
And these vibe-coded tools are very specific to your specific use case, or let's say very similar use cases.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And in science, it is somewhat simpler because mostly scientific software, scientific code is mostly open access. And there is a very important aspect of specificity. So people can automate tasks for their research. You can write Python, Bash, whatever scripts, and it works great. It requires some guardrailing because, well, sometimes you need to process folders, for example, but still. So automation of data analysis, of data retrieval for a specific task. There are very specific aspects. So what people do is they utilize LLMs to control robotic systems, basically. So in chemistry, imagine a fume hood. Basically, it's a box that is ventilated. So chemists use them to conduct chemical reactions. And people can put several pumps, several flasks, heaters, sensors used in chemistry. They can be extremely complex, but still, so some can require superconductivity. This is a high-end equipment, but still it has all of these. They have some kind of APIs, and people use LLMs to control robotic systems that basically a collection of pumps, flasks, heaters that conduct chemical reactions. They conduct research in in an automated way. Some people object to the ability of such robotic systems to produce new knowledge, like chemical reactions, whatever. But still, people use LLMs. What else? I think in chemistry, that would be all. In physics, probably there can be some specific tasks, but I moved from the most general tasks to the most specific tasks. So it progresses from analysis of data in general, may it be any field of science, then to specific software for computational sciences, and then to some chemistry-related stuff. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. And you were certainly talking about the PDF part, how you discovered that, working with other tools versus the Ardor Copilot and working with PDFs was a bottleneck in your workflow and how you overcame that. You want to?
Yeah. So ideally, this process should be automated simply because it can be automated. To my understanding, any LLM system, including Ardor Copilot, needs some library for processing PDF files. They work in agentic mode, and what Ardor Copilot does by default, if you naturally prompt it, it sets up Python environment that can process PDF files, retrieve specific data. Other LLM systems, they do the same, but slower. So you can attach more compute, assign more compute to an agent. It will, the process will get faster, but the bottleneck here is the amount of compute spent. So as far as I understand, there should be some human in the loop that could prompt the agent in setting up the environment in a way that it processes PDF files or other text formats in a more efficient way. And there is, of course, even more tricky aspect of image recognition. So sometimes PDF files, they are just images,
scan pages. Right.
Scan pages, and they can have some data in plot format. So you need to find a specific dot on a plot and assign a value there. But I don't think it can be solved easily without significant expenditures of compute. So it's a task that should be automated. It can be automated, but for now it's too expensive or it's too slow. So
maybe
it is probably complex. I think there should be more efficient ways to process data. So it's a work for software engineer, basically. So I don't think that default solutions proposed by agents are currently optimal.
Got it. And I know that you're very, very AI literate. You're a deep researcher in your field. So you're well versed. One of the questions, and you started using Ardor very recently. So my question is, was there a moment where Ardor, and when you tried to do your research work with it, surprised you?
So what is good, I think, is the ability to switch between one LLM powering the Copilot to another. It powers the Copilot. Ardor Copilot, I mean. So what is also great is that the Copilot is creative in a good sense. So for example, you can make it create a new server, like a cloud environment that can process your files, for example. Instead of using GitHub, for example, you can set up some cloud environment on other resources, so it was big because it's on like cloud on cloud or whatever, but still cloud in cloud, but still that would be all. So that is my experience. It performs, so it creates environments, cloud environments, it finds solutions to problems.
Thank you. So if I understand correctly, so your experience with the Ardor Copilot has been focused on essentially two areas, so to speak. One is the research work itself. And then the second is vibe coding small little utilities or tools that you need for that scientific analysis. Did I get that correct?
Yes. And I can tell you that there is no well-defined boundary between these two, in fact. At least now, and at least in my case, because I do computational research mostly, and I think it will dissipate the boundary, in experimental research as well, because people use automated hardware.
So elaborate a little on that, please. Help me understand, how you see this going forward.
Imagine a situation. So you have data, previous research data in the cloud. People retrieve it, analyze it, and they conduct some research of their own, mix it with the previous research, outline some report or publication or manuscript. And then they need to proofread it, to add some citations, but still this is work with text. And Everything that can be done using LLM systems. I abstract from the experimental level. If we speak of people who do experimental research, I abstract from that level, but I can tell you that cutting-edge laboratories use automated hardware in their research very extensively. So just it gives huge increases in productivity.
All right. Well, this was fantastic. A lot of background about chemical science, physics, and research. In your head, what kind of a tool is Ardor?
I think it can be everything potentially. So you can apply ardor in for each and every step that I described.
I think what you've done is very remarkable. It's one of the use cases that we hadn't even really thought about, but the fact that you materialized it is extremely valuable, and it gives us insight into, how Ardor can be used across a multitude of use cases. So thank you for that.